Hey y'all, what up? It's Cramp Lord here. Uh, I realize that it is now the 3rd of January 2025, and I have yet to produce any sort of year summarizing video about films from 2024, which I usually do just for myself. But I find myself in a pickle here where I am quite busy. I don't have a whole lot of time like I did in the past this time of year. And yeah, it would just take up a lot of my time to try to make these videos in the quality that I want to make them. So they're going to be a bit rushed, unscripted, off the cuff, as they say. And I'm actually going to start with CreamBetweens this year. I think that'd be fun. Start with CreamBetweens. I kind of reorder the list almost every year, it seems. But yeah, we're gonna start with CreamBetweens. So that's gonna be all of the films that didn't make my top or bottom 15. So I watched 62 movies this year. So the dishonorable mention of the year, that would be number 47 out of 62. Oh yeah, I just want to preface, I did not watch a lot of movies this year compared to years past. In fact, when I got to like October, or even like November, I mean, it was like low. It was low. Like I had seen maybe like 30, probably less than 30 movies this whole year. This year has been a really down year for me. It's been a weird year. Uh, it's been in constant transition, uh, living situation wise, and then admittedly, Persona 3 Reload took over my life at the beginning of the year, in February when that came out, and then that just put me on a Persona journey where I was playing the rest of 5. I never finished 5 back in the day, and then I played 4 Golden for the first time. Just incredible games. Very time consuming though. So I did nothing else except play those games. I didn't watch any movies then, and then I was moving around and I wasn't seeing things in the theater. Anyway, that's all to say that the majority of the movies I watched this year came in at the tail end of the year. I tried to squeeze stuff in. But 62 movies, it's not bad. It's not bad. So anyway, number 42, first of the CreamBetweens, intro's done. It's gonna be Long Legs. Hold on, I gotta get these. Give me one second. Long Legs is directed by Osgood Perkins. There was a lot of hype for this movie. I didn't see it in the theater. This came out during the summer. I missed it. I missed a lot of stuff during the summer, and I would have totally seen this in the theater, but it did a second run. It did a second quick run. I think it showed maybe like once or twice, maybe only like a week. I don't know. And I saw it, and I mean, it's a beautiful, beautiful film. Absolutely gorgeous. Uh, there's just not enough there. It's definitely something that's a reference to like 5,000 other movies. Like you can see the influences written all over it. And I mean, the biggest one, for example, is River's Edge. It's one of my favorite movies ever. Uh, Huge influence from River's Edge in this movie. It's practically the same themes as well, except River's Edge themes are much more fleshed out. It's like you know, it's like an actual well-rounded thing. This just kind of sprinkles those themes in there, and it's much more of an aesthetic kind of journey rather than anything worthwhile, in my opinion. And so I just thought it was the, epitome of like an average movie in 2024. I see this as the epitome of the average, like something that young people are going to go out and see. Like very average. Not bad, not good, completely average. So that's Long Legs. Next is The Wild Robot. We're getting There's a few things, three in a row here that are I think movies that are really highly overrated, including The Wild Robot. I get why people love this, and some moments really do shine. I love the beginning of this movie. I think the beginning of this movie is great. It's just the latter half that I just find to be so trite, forgettable, and just I can't really vibe with it. And there's a quote here from the movie that I really like. I actually really like this quote. What happened was not your fault, but what you did to try to fix it is everything. I really like that quote, and I could definitely see the environmental themes in this, but I don't really know what the larger metaphor is. Maybe I should watch it again. I don't know. I just thought it was fine. I thought it was completely fine. And moving on from there, at number 45, we have I'm Still Here. Oh, I'm sorry. I forgot to say the director of The Wild Robot. See, I knew I was going to forget this shit. Chris Sanders. Chris Sanders is the director. Okay, I'm Still Here, which is directed by Walter Salles. Uh, this is a Brazilian film. It's like one of the top grossing films in Brazil. It's like extremely popular over there. I had no idea how many Brazilian users there are on Letterboxd, but holy cow, they make up like almost all of the watches here. You go to any of the reviews, they're all in Portuguese. like and I just happened to notice that this movie was at my theater. It wasn't listed online. I just saw it was at the showtimes at the theater. So luckily I caught that. I was able to see it. But it's so okay. I think Brazilians are really, really good at liking things that are Brazilian. I kind of noticed that. But I feel like we've seen a movie like this. I feel like there's a movie like this every single year. There's some like kind of dictatorship in which, uh, a lone family living there experience some hardship because of the dictatorship, and they come together as a family and they, persevere through it and whatever. And it's like kind of a cathartic thing for multi generations within that community that experience that thing. And then so they have this movie to kind of rally behind and be like, yeah, go Brazil or Argentina or like literally insert any country that experienced a dictatorship and like where communists were or suspected communists were persecuted. So many of these movies, and I don't think this one really does anything that special. Not to downplay it or anything, it's just completely fine. There's really nothing remarkable about it, in my opinion. Okay, so next we have The Order. This is from Justin Kurzel. When I saw the trailer for this, I thought the trailer was excellent. Like this looked like a action thriller, crime thriller that we've been missing from kind of the theater circuit. I was craving something like this. Luckily, I got it in another movie, which we will see in my top 15. But when I first saw this trailer, I was really excited about it. The KKK, or it's not KKK, it's just like a white supremacist theme in it was a little sus. It was a little sus. It seemed like kind of a virtue signally kind of opportunity. And it's not. It doesn't go too hard into, I guess, that I mean, it does. I could see some people saying that this is, but I don't think it's egregious. It just happens to be the subject, And unfortunately, I just find this to be really okay. Uh, I think it's well shot. I think it's absolutely beautiful, but really didn't get a whole lot out of this one, unfortunately. Moving on, we have Origin. I think this was like the first or second movie that I saw from 2024. This is directed by Ava DuVernay, and this one gets a lot of hate. a lot of hate, a lot of unjustified hate, I think. It's a movie that tries to pretty much recontextualize racial divide in America or just around the world as a problem that's not about race, it's about caste. Like it's it's a biopic, not a biopic, it's kind of like it's the journey of this author who wrote a book that recontextualized racial tensions into caste. It like was like it creates a universal representation of people groups throughout the world, no matter where they are in the world. It makes a universal connection, and it's kind of like a unified struggle thing, you know. Now, are the over dramatizations egregiously handholdy? Yes. Is it exploitive of imagery and iconography? Yes. Does it speak to rudimentary shit when it comes to unified struggle? Yes. But like people need a place to start with this thing, especially when they've been kind of indoctrinated into a very binary mode of thinking their whole life, as most Americans have been. And so, yeah, there's just a lot of people online that attack this movie for just being super basic. And it's like, this doesn't really do anything. We all know this, but it's like people need a place to start. And I thought it was a pretty well done movie, for the most part. Not my favorite, but yeah, that's Origin. Anywho, uh, next we have The Apprentice, which is directed by Ali Abbasi. I saw his film Holy Spider some years ago, and I thought it was okay. I thought aesthetically it was very interesting. And that's the same thing here. I think he is an aestheticist through and through. I think his films, based on the two that I've seen, are kind of flat. I don't think he's a really great writer. Uh, or I don't know if he wrote the films or not. Anywho, he doesn't do the whole like, film thing well. He does like shooting and art very well. And that's the same thing here, telling the story of uh, Donald Drumpf and Roy Cohn, which is an interesting story. But if you already know about the happenings of Roy Cohn, then this movie's not really going to do anything for you. So moving on from there, we have a documentary. I only watched 2 documentaries this year. It's kind of sad. I wanted to squeeze in more. I just didn't have time. This is a movie from... I actually seen a movie from him. I put it on a list way back in the day. Lance Oppenheim, who did... what's that movie called? Some Kind of Heaven. This one's called Sperm World. It is about guys who are like obsessed with donating their sperm. It's like an addiction. It's really fucking weird. And they don't do it through programs, like they do it online. Like they're like independent contractors, private contractors for sperm. And it just follows 3 dudes, and it's fucking weird. It's an interesting watch. It's well done. I just I didn't enjoy watching it, to be honest with you. So yeah, if that sounds like your kind of thing, go for it. Next, we have Smoking Tigers. This is from So Young Shelly Yo. It is a Korean American coming of age film set in the early 2000s. Script wise, plot wise, we've seen this 1,000 times before. This is a second generation immigrant coming of age story. I feel like I've seen this movie 100 times. But what this movie does really, really well is that it is shot absolutely beautifully. It also has the pacing, editing wise, and just kind of tone wise of a Taiwanese or Thai new wave film, which I love. So that gives it a huge advantage. Otherwise, the story is pretty run-of-the-mill. But worth the watch if you want to see something very beautiful. Okay, moving on from there, we have an animated film from Adam Elliott called Memoir of a Snail. This is a claymation film. Adam Elliott, he's famous for that movie. I haven't seen it. Mary and Max. Apparently, it's also quite dark and kind of depressing. And this movie is the same thing. And it's kind of a very blatant exercise in misery porn. It's just this character that has a pretty miserable life, but is so used to terrible things happening to her that it's just the way it is, and it's just like her life events just keep going, and they never really seem to get better until like you have like a little happy ending of sorts. And sorry if that's a spoiler, but eh, I wasn't all that into it. I think it didn't earn anything emotionally, uh just didn't really feel this one a whole lot. Yeah. Moving on from there, we have Dad and Stepdad. This is from Tynan DeLong. Interesting name. This is a little comedy. I feel like this could have been released on YouTube or something, but it's well written. It's about it's like a 12-year-old kid played by a 30-something-year-old man. It's like this kid and his dad go to this cabin, and the stepdad is there, or it's the dad there. Anyway, it's a stepdad and dad interacting with their son, and it's very funny. It's very, very funny. Yeah, really not much more to it. I wish I had something a little bit more rehearsed to say about these films, especially when I kind of forget a lot about them. But like I said, I'm going off the cuff, so I'm just going to have to keep it going. I'm sorry. Next, we have Kinds of Kindness from Yorgos Lanthimos. Absolutely loved last year's film, Poor Things. That was, I think, like my second or third favorite movie of the year. This one, you can tell he was given way too much creative control of this, like to the point where it's like, I wish there was a producer to tell him no, because this kind of sucks. I'm not going to lie. I mean, it doesn't suck. I mean, it's good in some parts, but a lot of parts, I'm just like, really? Really? And it's way too long. It's kind of like an anthology movie, and it's completely fine. It's completely fine. I wasn't vibing with it, to be completely honest. Next up, 36, we have Love Lies Bleeding from Rose Glass. Was not really anticipating watching this movie, but I ended up catching it over the summer on streaming when I was just looking for something to watch. And this was actually not bad. This was not bad. Sorry. I'm like still waking up and I'm very hungry. Wah, wah. My life's so hard. Anyway, yeah, no, this was good. Not my favorite. I thought the end went a little too far with its surreality. It's not a word. It's fine. It's fine. It's pretty good. This is gonna be my worst fucking year for this sort of thing. This is gonna suck. But I'm sorry. I'm sorry, y'all. Maybe I can do a redo. No, I'm not gonna put in the effort to do that. Sorry. But the bottom and top 15s, they may come a little bit later, but I'm gonna try to make those a little bit more produced. They're still gonna suck, but I'm gonna make them a little bit better, especially better than this. This sucks ass. Anyway, number 35, we have Femme. from Sam H. Freeman and, I mean, you're killing me here. The bro, how do I say this? It's literally NG. That's this dude's first name. I realize he's probably like Vietnamese or something, but like, how do I say that? It's just NG. Is the G silent? Is it na chun ping? Na chun ping. I'm gonna go with that. Anyway, this was a miserable movie. Absolutely miserable. It's not bad. It's not bad. It's well written. Really well acted, too. It's about this drag artist who gets, like, jumped, beat up by this homophobic dude who's, like, trying to be all fucking tough. And then finds him on, like, he finds him in multiple situations, very clearly seeking out relationships with men, but is also violently homophobic at the same time. And there's like this weird obsession with like from the drag artist to like get with him, either for like revenge, but then it's like not, and it's weird, but it was totally believable. Like I could totally see something like this happening because I feel like this shit does happen a lot. And there's like this weird, strange, unexplainable perversion to people that hate you. You know what I'm saying? It's like a goal to seduce them because it's like they're insecure and you know it. I don't know. Very strange. Very strange. Like I said, well done, but completely fucking miserable. Oh my god, what a really bummer of a movie. Whew. All right, speaking of bummers of a movie, we have The Missing from Carl Joseph Ipapa. This is a Filipino movie that's like motion captured, like that rotoscope kind of shit. And yeah, this is also a downer of a movie. I don't really want to spoil it because saying the reasons as to why the main character is the way he is just gives the whole thing away. So I'm not really going to do that, but I'll just let you know this is a pretty disturbing movie. But it's also very tender and heartfelt. And the ending's really, really good. The whole movie just kind of takes a little too long to do what it's doing. And I don't know if I necessarily love the rotoscope kind of art style, but like I said, the ending is really, really good. So, yeah, The Missing. Next, we have Zone of Interest. This is a movie that I really wanted to see at the end of the last year, and everybody, I mean, this happens so many times at the end of years with like the prestige films that come out. They're definitely gonna like win awards and shit. They always come out right at the end of the year, and then they tell you that they're gonna come out on this date, and they never actually come until like a month later, like in January or February or something. And it's just like fucking annoying. And so I didn't see this in the theater, and then I caught it over streaming. Oh, I caught it on streaming over the summer. And I'm sure this was a much better experience in the theater because sound is so important in this movie. But I'm not going to lie, the best thing that came out of this movie was Jonathan Glazer actually saying something about Palestine at the Oscars. That was the best thing that came out of this movie, especially from a film that's about the Holocaust. You know, I think that speaks volumes and goes past the whole fucking identity politics of it being a religious issue when it's very clearly just a human rights issue. Anyway, I thought this was I get what it was doing. I just wasn't super like on board with it, you know. Anyway, not much to say there really. Next up, number 32, we have The Shadow Strays from Timo Chaha Chajanto. Timo Chajanto. This is a balls to the wall action thriller, kind of in the style of John Wick, and it's from Indonesia. And there is the highs in this movie are fucking high. Like, this is a really, at times, really well made, very ultra violent action film. But then at times it comes back down to earth and it's like, fuck, this is not great. Like, it constantly jumps from being really impressive to being just not good. But I think it's worth seeing. Shadow Strays. Yeah, very violent. I think we deserve that kind of level of violence. Speaking of violent, number 31, we have Terrifier 3. This was leagues better than Terrifier 2, which I saw a couple years ago. Maybe that was 3 years ago. I don't know. Anyway, Terrifier 3. I fell asleep during this movie. And, like, that should be a bad thing. But I think I just skipped all of the bullshit. And I woke up at the carving of a male taint with a chainsaw. And then the rest of the movie just had the gorilla grip on me from that point on. Like, I wasn't coming off that roller coaster. I was wide awake. So yeah, I caught like the first 30, 45 minutes of this movie, fell asleep. Probably, I mean, how long is this? Where's the length? Oh, 125 minutes. So I probably fell asleep for like 30 minutes. And then I caught the rest of it. I feel like that's the perfect fucking way to do it. Because all that I saw, I really enjoyed. Because it was really fucking crazy. I mean, the reputation that Terrifier 2 was getting before I saw it was way too overhyped. This isn't. This goes insane. So yeah, props to Terrifier 3 for really going to the place that I wanted it to. Because it goes there. It really does. Next up, number 30, we have Strange Darling from J.T. Molnar. This is a bit of a controversial one. I see very varying opinions of this movie everywhere. People either love it, hate it. Some people find that little in-between space. I kind of find the in-between space here. I think it is really well made in terms of pacing. It keeps the cogs in your brain turning at all times. It really captures your attention. And thematically, I feel like this movie is a kind of a middle finger to Emerald Fennell and Promising Young Woman, because it's like kind of the antithesis of it in a way. Slightly misogynistic. I mean, if you want to look at it from a base level, but in a way that like kind of makes fun of its kind of crass exploitation in a way, where it's like, hell yeah, fuck men, you know? I don't know. It's hard to describe. Anyway, a big part of this movie is like a weird sexual dynamic that I thought Sanctuary did a lot better last year. But I don't really like seeing that dynamic in movies a lot because I feel like it's usually not well done and it usually pisses me off. And all I got to say is ban sex now. Just do it. Just ban it. Make it illegal. Next up, we have Nosferatu. I saw this on New Year, so this was the last movie that I saw from this year. I may, if I catch some movies that came out at the tail end of last year or whatever, I catch some before I make my other year-end lists, I may put them on there. Or I may say oh, here's an extra cream between or something. I might do that. But for now, this is the last movie that I saw. from Robert Eggers. I was really excited about this. I've been pumped for this movie for years because I thought if anybody can nail a Nosferatu movie, it's Robert Eggers. But I don't love this. I mean, he is kind of known for being really strictly sticking to the script, if that makes any sense. Like, he's really big about period and that kind of stuff. But I don't know, like, for a Nosferatu movie, like, we've seen, obviously, the original. The three that I think there's more, but the original, the Werner Herzog version, and now this one. I feel like those are the three main Nosferatu canon movies. And I really expected this to kind of deviate more than it did. It did deviate, especially thematically, and I do really like what he was doing here. I feel like he didn't go far enough. And also Nosferatu kind of sucks in this. Like, the character itself, he's way less visually interesting, in my opinion. And the whole, like, keeping him in the shadows for a really long time where you don't actually see his face for so long. I get why that works thematically with, like, the whole Jungian psychology of shadows and all that shit. But it felt like they were trying to guise his face for so long because it's so, like, fucked up. Like, it really is in the 20s and the Werner Herzog version. Like, he's a creepy looking dude. This, he doesn't look that bad. He doesn't look like, he looks like a Romanian guy. Your average Romanian guy. You know? So, like, come on. It's a little racist, Robert Eggers. Racist motherfucker. Alright. Moving on. We have, y'all are not going to believe this shit. We have Joker. Folie à deux. Folie à deux. I don't know how it's staged. Yeah, no, Joker. Number fucking 28 out of 60 something movies. I didn't think this was horrible. I think people are like, people love to dunk on the first Joker movie like a year or two after it came out because they're like, oh, this is fake deep, whatever. It's like it's a fucking superhero movie. It's based on a comic book. It's allowed to be a little surface level. You know? It's doing the Taxi Driver thing for, like, a wide audience. That's okay. And I think it does it pretty well. This movie is a bit of a mess, I will admit. It is a bit messy. I don't think Todd Phillips is a very good director. I think he tries to reach levels of ambition that he can't reach. But I feel like what's actually thematically explored here is really good. Like, it's done shockingly well. And the way that the movie is paced, it does make the whole ordeal feel like a completely flat waste of time, which I did feel. But the more I thought on the movie, I'm like, that was actually pretty good overall. So, also, it has a Bucket of Blood reference in it, which I think is really cool. Great movie. Shout out Roger Corman. But yeah, I didn't think this was horrible. I thought it was a pretty bold sequel. But they're not gonna make another one because this shit, like, fucking bombed probably. Anyway, next up, oh, this is a big one. A lot of people are gonna be shocked. The Shocker gets a 6 out of 10. 3 stars out of 5. Number 27 is Anora from Sean Baker. Yep. I didn't love this. I thought it was good. I didn't love it. I will say this. I think a huge thing that I didn't know about it going in, but it's basically a neo screwball comedy. And I famously hate screwball comedies. I hate them. And so I found this movie really annoying, loud, and I didn't really find it funny. Like, I think I laughed maybe once, like a little snicker. Little snicker. Little snickety. Yeah, no, I wasn't huge on it. And I feel like this is the least Baker has had to say. Like, obviously, there's a big sweeping statement about uh, uh, like class in this movie, and how like people are kind of set to a class, that sort of thing. And yeah, there's a big sweeping statement from like proletariat to like fucking bourgeois and all that shit. But it's like I don't fucking care. I don't care. I just thought this was so mid. I thought it was mid. I thought it was good. I thought it was good but mid, especially for Sean Baker standards. I love Red Rocket. I think that's his best movie. But yeah, moving on from there, we have number 26, Richard Linklater with Hitman. Love Richard Linklater. Did not know about this movie until it just dropped on Netflix. And yeah, this is one of his like very wide appealing genre movies that he makes every once in a while. And I thought it was pretty good. Maybe a little bit too, I don't know, like vanilla for me. It's a bit vanilla. But I think, and as I kind of expect this from Linklater, I think what thematically is explored here about kind of, morality and kind of the Nietzschean themes within it is really, really good. It's very, very good. And that part about it is really, really interesting. Movie on itself, eh. But yeah. Moving on from there, we're finally getting to our 7 out of 10s, our 3.5 stars out of 5. So these are movies that I didn't think were just like, pretty good. I thought they're good. You should see that movie. It's good. That's what I would say about these movies. All right. So number 25 is A Real Pain. This is from Mr. Jesse Eisenberg. Kept seeing the ads for this. I feel like I saw the ads for this movie like 6 months before this movie came out. I feel like this was like way, way over trailered. But it kind of does share too much in the trailer. It has an oversharing trailer, but no, this is good. This is good stuff. Well written. I thought the editing was kind of weird. But yeah, I mean, there's really nothing more to say about it. It's very simple, cut and dry. Go see it. It's good stuff. Good stuff. I think it does, something I want to say about it is that it does explore kind of this is something I was talking about with the movie Descendant, which was like my second favorite movie of like 2 years ago. Is that there's a really weird thing about experiencing like monuments and museums that are about like atrocity and like human suffering. And I think people's interaction with that and their connection to that is really, really interesting. I think that's one of the most interesting things to study about human psychology, human behavior, societal psychology. And this movie does explore that on a very personal level, which I like. So that's cool. Anywho, next up, number 24 is an anime film called Ghost Cat Anzu. Definitely the most aesthetically pleasing movie of the year. This movie's absolutely beautiful. Just beautiful. Unfortunately, though, when I went to see it, I was the only one in the theater, so I felt obligated to comment on it. But I went to go see the sub version because I saw the dub trailer and I thought it sounded like ass. So I purposefully went to go see the sub version. And it was the first showing, I think, of it. It was like afternoon. I think it was the first day that it was in the theater. And they accidentally played the dub So because I was the only one there, I was like, hey, it literally just started. It was like the first couple lines of the movie, and I just was like, hey, just want to let you know it's like played this version, it's scheduled for this version, and so I'm like, and they're like, oh, okay, cool, let's switch it over. I was like, it's fine. And then when I get in there, they start the movie over, cool, great, but then they like jump a little bit, and I'm thinking, okay, yeah, I guess they do have like a schedule that they're on. It's an automated system. I get it. But then I'm like, I feel like they jumped a little too far ahead. Like, I feel like I missed some things here. There's no way they introduced all these characters that quickly. And then the movie ended in like an hour. And I'm like, I missed like the first 25 minutes of this movie at least. And it kind of pissed me off a little bit. Should have asked for my money back, but it's fine. But no, I really enjoyed this. I don't think, from what I saw, I don't think it really does anything amazing, but it's, like I said, the most aesthetically beautiful film of the year. Ghost Cat Anzu. Next up is Meanwhile on Earth. This is a French sci-fi kind of surreal thriller from a direct. Oh wait, I forgot to say the director of Ghost Cat Anzu. Ghost Cat Anzu is Yoko Kuno and Nobuhiro Yamashita. Excuse me. And then Meanwhile on Earth is Jeremy Clapin. I'm sure that sounds different in a French context. Anyway, Meanwhile on Earth, one of the most underseen movies of the year. It just kind of popped in my theater, played for like a few days and then left. Nobody was there. I was the only one in the theater. This was really good. It's really, really good. I think it's super, super well written. And there is one scene in it though that like it doesn't need to be there. If you've seen the movie, you know exactly what scene I'm talking about. It does not need to be in this movie at all. And it kind of brings this movie down a whole notch, but otherwise this is good stuff. Meanwhile on Earth. Highly recommend. Next is All of Us Strangers. This is another movie that was teased to come out at the end of 2023 and then never did. Caught it on streaming. I thought this was lovely, but also really fucking depressing. But yeah, it was lovely. I didn't think it was incredible. I didn't think it was bad. I thought it was good. I thought movie good. And some of the criticisms of this movie are kind of weird. And that's directed by Andrew High. Next up is The Monk and the Gun. This is a film set and about Bhutan, which is one of my favorite countries in the world. They are kind of famously known as being a country that was really late to modernization. They really kind of purposefully isolated themselves for a very long time. And this movie is about when they introduced elections, or like they're just starting. Like this was very, very recent. Like within the past like 10, 15 years, like they implemented democratic elections. And this movie kind of has multiple storylines going on, and they all kind of intersect in a way. It's well written, and but yeah, the main theme of it here is a country, a culture that is kind of late to modernization, which has influences from the West and kind of the other ways that Asia has modernized over the years. This is like a country that's very content with not being modernized, like having these modernized systems introduced to them. And it's a very interesting movie from a anthropologic lens. Anthropologic. Is that a word? I don't know. Anyway, that's directed by Powo Choi Ning Dorji, and it's from Bhutan. Bhutanese director, which is very cool. Very, very cool. Yeah, highly recommend. Bhutan is one of my favorite countries, and you rarely ever see it on film. And I did hate. Okay, I do have to mention this. I fucking hated the guy who plays Ronald in this. He's like this. He's supposed to be like the dumb American dude who comes to Baton for said gun, and I hate his actor so much. Apparently, he's like this Buddhist orchestra director or something. So he's like a white Buddhist dude. So you probably like knew the director or something in production or whatever, and that's why he's in this movie. But he's a terrible actor. He's horrible. He's so fucking bad. He ruins every fucking scene he's in. I hate him. He like brings this movie down several notches. It's kind of disgusting and disastrous. Anyway, otherwise the movie's great. Fuck Ron though. All right, next up we have possibly the last movie from Ken Loach, but I feel like he said that for his other two movies. We have The Old Oak. Very Loachian movie. It's about solidarity in a small community in northern England when a bunch of Syrian refugees move into empty houses in the community. And there's a little bit of racism. There's a little bit of charity, a little bit of empathy going on. And you have this pub owner who's like struggling in a town that used to be a thriving coal mining town, working class, but now their industry's kind of dead. All the young people are moving away, and he's the owner of this pub that's struggling, and which is kind of like the social center of the town, and he's like cool with the Syrian refugees, but the people in his pub are not. And it's like this thing where like he creates this like community solidarity with the Syrian refugees because if you keep everybody separate, then it makes the proletariat per se weaker. But if you actually come together, then you can actually make some changes. That's what Ken Loach is about. That's the whole like fucking socialist thing that he loves. And yeah, I mean, this is rudimentary class struggle kind of thing, but it's well done. It's really, really well done. Cut and dry. Good stuff from Ken Loach, The Old Oak. Next up, we have Rap. Number 19 is Rap World from Conor O'Malley, and is also directed by Danny Schraer. If you don't know who Conor O'Malley is, highly recommend you look him up. Funny guy. He's a funny guy. It's about these three dudes in 2009 who are trying to make a rap album in the middle of the night, and it's like shot on like an old like camcorder type of camera, and it's supposed to kind of capture a point in time and like suburban boredom and people who are kind of just late 20s losers, they're still kind of living the life of like teenagers and stuff like that. But it's really funny and it's really good. It's like really, really good. And Conor O'Malley's really good at making shit like this. It's really short, only 56 minutes, but it counts as a film because apparently it got into a film festival, so that's why it's on this list. So Rap World is coming in at number 19. Next up, we have an M. Night Shyamalan movie. We have Trap. I love this. The beginning of it. The second half, I could take or leave. I was not huge on it, but the beginning, I loved. It felt like a giant Hitman level. It was so cool. It was so much fun to watch. And it was really funny. Like, I know Shyamalan has like leaned into like the ridiculousness of his movies before, but this like really leans into it, and I love it. This is like the best thing he's made in a long time. Yeah, Trap. Good stuff. All right, this is final two of the CreamBetweens. Next up, we have, this is a huge surprise, Luca Guadagnino. I know I'm not pronouncing his name right. Queer from Luca Guadagnino, starring none other than Daniel Craig. I hesitated to see this movie because I don't like Luca Guadagnino. I don't really like him, Luca. I thought Suspiria was one of the worst fucking things I've ever seen. His remake of Suspiria. And then I thought Bones and All was horrible. It was in one of my bottom 15 videos. And it just seems like somebody that's really like trying to appeal to Gen Z. Like I see it constantly in his movies, and it's really fucking annoying. But I must say that this is actually really fucking good. This is really, really good. It is based on the Burroughs novel, Queer. And it's kind of a surrealist novel. And anywho, the more research I do about the novel after seeing this, the more I like this movie. Like, this was really, really well done. The first half especially, the first half reminded me a lot of Carell. Fassbender's Carell. Which is a great comparison because that's one of my favorite movies ever. Just the setting, the way that the sets are in Mexico City are, and just like kind of the vibe, the interconnectedness, this little network in a kind of foreign town. Very Carell. But second half is it's all right. But what's done well here is done really, really well. And it's a bit of a redemption for Mr. Luca, I must say. The Gen Z pandering is here, but it's not as egregious to a point where I can look past it. And yeah, Queer. And then my runner-up, the top of the CreamBetweens, just right outside of the top 15. But it could easily be there if I didn't see one of the movies in the top 15. And that's going to be a little film from a Latvian man named Gents Zilbalodis called Flow. It's an animated film about a cat living in this kind of, I want to say post-apocalypse, because this could just be like, it doesn't have to be apocalypse, it could just be like a really old version of humanity, a really future version of humanity. It couldn't even be humanity. It could be another planet. It just happens to have the same animals as Earth. Anywho, reminded me so much of like Shadow of the Colossus, Eco, Last Guardian. Those kinds of worlds reminded me so much of it. A little bit Miyazaki Dark Souls too. A little Elden Ring-ish. A little bit of that element. But I love the world in this movie. Absolutely love it. Unfortunately, this movie would be a lot higher, probably. Maybe not. But it would probably be a lot higher if I hadn't seen the trailer like 100 times. Because this trailer just overshare. I mean, this is a very simple movie. Point A to point B. And the trailer just shows you everything. Like, I feel like I saw most of the movie already, which is such a bummer. Any time that you're really excited about a movie because of a trailer, and then you just realize that you basically saw the whole movie, it's really disappointing. But this movie is good enough to the point where it is right outside of my top 15, and I think it is one of the better movies of the year. And the biggest thing about this movie, is that it features one of the most mind-blowingly beautiful scenes I have ever seen in a film. And if you've seen the movie, you know exactly what I'm talking about. I have not felt the way that I did in that movie theater in a very long time. It is transcendent from visuals, sound, themes. It is gorgeous. So good. Which is 1,000% worth the price of admission for this movie. If you don't take anything else away from this movie, at least let it be that one scene. My God. Like, literally, like, top 10 scenes of all time. In a movie that I gave, like, a 7 out of 10. So, yeah. Pretty cool. Anyway, that's going to do it for this list. That's going to do it for CreamBetweens. Again, the other lists are probably going to come in way later. I'm kind of busy. But yeah. Hope you all have a great rest of your day. For the 0 people that listened all the way through this. Love y'all. Cramp Lord out. Bye-bye.